so I'll finish up, I guess, with the panel. Wes, Jarrell, and I have to stand up.
Yeah, stand up.
I'm more used to lectures, I guess. And I'm also used to seeing the audience's face, so that you know what kind of impact it might be having or not. I'm a professor of sustainable agriculture and natural resources at the University of Natural Resources and Environmental Sciences, and also the interim director of the Environmental Change Institute. But most of what I'm here tonight to talk about is our farm. Leslie Cooper Band and I started Prairie Foods Farm in 2003 when we moved here from Wisconsin. I won't go through the details of that. I'd be happy to talk about it. But right now we're going to be milking 75 goats this year. We'll be making about 20,000 pounds of cheese, artisan cheese, handmade. We're selling at, we started at the Urbana Farmers Market, which was an outstanding place for us to start, to interact with customers and learn about their response to our cheese. But now we've moved on to many other places in addition to the market. Of course, they were there all the time. By the way, Urbana is the best market we go to still. We go to markets in Chicago now, Bloomington. It's great. The Common Ground Co-op is an outstanding outlet for us as well. We are selling to some supermarkets, Schnucks locally. We're selling to Whole Foods in Chicago too, so, and a bunch of shops around the Midwest. Our objectives are to sustainably produce and sell the highest quality products from our farm, and also to work with local farms in our farm dinners, which I'll mention in a minute, and also to educate the public about about issues of food and sustainability and land sustainability through experience. And as part of that, we do dinners. We started in 2008. We offered 5 on-farm dinners that year. We got put together a certified kitchen on the farm because we thought we'd process some of the fruit that we also grow. But that rapidly led to dinners every other week with all local produce and about 45 to 50 diners each week, each dinner. This year we're up, last year we did 10, and this year we'll be doing 14 of those every other week from May through October. It's an outstanding opportunity to educate people about the experience in Central Illinois with food, and for them to see the entire food system, because we go from, show them the alfalfa hayfield and the pastures, and run them through the goats and the parlor, and give them, now we put a window in our cheesery now, for those of you who've been out there, so everybody can get a look at that now as well. And then they can taste the product at the end, which we think is very important. We did a 100-yard dinner this year, which was everything growing within 100 yards of the table, which is one definition of local. That probably won't be widely adopted, I'd say, but it used to be more common, of course, 100 years ago, but not so much now. I will say, though, on that note, we're members of the Practical Farmers of Iowa. Iowa's not that much different climatically and in terms of soils than we are, and there's a Rudy's Tacos in Waterloo sources 72% of the ingredients from local farms, and he buys about almost $200,000 worth of local products. So Iowa's ahead of us, and we need to hurry up and beat them. So there are a lot of issues that I'd love to talk about, and I know we'll encounter in the course of this. I think because we're regulated by the state and by the county, we have a lot of experience with regulation and would like to pursue that, certainly. The last thing,
you actually were the first
farmstead cheese facility in the state of Illinois to be licensed. And that means we produce the milk and we make cheese on site. Our milk travels 40 feet from the time it comes out of a goat to the time it gets made into cheese. And so the inspectors were not too sure that you could have that much manure and hay that close to a grade A, first-grade cheese-making facility, but we demonstrated we could. But of course, we knew that in Wisconsin and New York and Vermont and California and lots of other places they've done it many times, but I don't know if there are any inspectors here, but we've learned not to bring up those comparisons with inspectors. Because Illinois is more rigorous. Anyway, so those are some important questions I hope to pursue through the course of these types of meetings. The last thing I'll mention is that this number of students from the urban planning department came here interested in what do you do about incorporating local foods and regional foods into urban and regional planning. So I volunteered to teach a course, this second 8-week course, which will be an education for me as well as the students. If I can stay a week ahead, we'll be in good shape. But we'll be exploring what kinds of opportunities and barriers and solutions there are to encouraging expanded production and food systems, local food systems around cities and around regions. So that'll focus on Champaign County primarily, but we'll also look at a regional distribution system like the I-57 corridor that can provide products from deep southern Illinois up through Chicago. And I did bring a bunch of these books, which my wife and her student, Sarah Hulteen, who's now in Missouri, put together a couple of years ago, called Beyond the Farmer's Market, Planning for Local Food Systems in Illinois. I think it's a really nice workbook to use to get a sense of all the questions you should be asking. And this is something for communities that are either well established like this one in terms of farmers markets, or